We'll start with the prayers. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashe Bhakshabhiryajatraha Stirairangaihi Stuštuvagam Sastanubihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuho Swasti na Indro Vriddashravaha Swasti na Indro Vishwavedaha Swasti nastakshorarishthanemihi Swasti no brihaspati'r dadato Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are studying Mundak Upanishad, the second Upanishad in a series of 12 Upanishads. We have finished Kaivalya Upanishad with 24 mantras. This Mundak Upanishad is 64 verses, divided into 3 chapters. Each chapter has got 2 sections. Last week, I gave you a synopsis of the entire 6 sections and then started analyzing the first chapter, first section. We have finished 5 verses. We are studying the 6th verse. What have we covered so far? See, generally what happens in Upanishad is a seeker has already gone through the preliminary qualifications. He has understood that there is something higher in life. The 4 Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, is very clear to him. And generally, till we are about 40 years old, we realize that Dharma, Artha, Kama, especially Artha and Kama, they have limitations. And they don't give me a fulfillment in life. So that is where the search begins. See, a person who has seen and examined his life, he will start looking for something which is beyond his understanding of the way life is. So all of us are in this boat and we are trying to understand, in this life, is there anything else which I need to know? Now, the subject matter is dealt in Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, and in Brahma Sutra. Now, these are 3 texts which we need to understand according to the Vedic lifestyle. And so when we enter the Bhagavad Gita, first Bhagavad Gita is taught to us. We finish 18 chapters and understand how Lord Krishna teaches Arjuna about the higher self and the lower self. So we get some understanding. Then the Guru tells us there is a slightly higher level of text which is called as Upanishad. So you come and start learning the Upanishad, and here the focus is on the higher self. So when you come to the Upanishad, you should be very clear. Now, I am trying to find out the meaning of life. Is there a purpose in life? Or is there only, you earn money and you enjoy life? That's it. Is that the end of life? Or is there another portion which I need to know? So this goal must be extremely clear when we are studying this Upanishads. That is why we are embarking on the study of 12 Upanishads. Then when we come to Upanishads, the Upanishads, they give us some indications of how to realize our higher nature. As we go by, I will point out what are those specific verses which we are supposed to dwell a little bit more deeper. In this Upanishad, there is a disciple, there is a guru. And the disciple is a well-informed disciple. And he goes to the guru and asks this question: is there anything which I need to know, by which I can know the entire secret of the universe? See how brilliant this question is. So it shows how a student has given a lot of thought. See, that students of Upanishads are very deep thinkers. They think their experiences, they go through their experiences, they form certain visions of this world, and then they find there are certain drawbacks, and then they say there must be something. There must be something which is higher. Generally speaking, in the Upanishads, like in Tattva Bodha, there are broadly three methodologies which are followed to reveal this truth. And the three ways in which the truth is revealed is either they analyze the three avasthas, which is done in Mundak Upanishad very beautifully. We have seen that in Kaivalya, understanding the waking, dream, and sleep. So there are a couple of Upanishads which deal focused purely on the three states of consciousness. Then there is a very specific Upanishad called as Taittiriya Upanishad, which focuses on the Pancha Koshas, 5 koshas. There is the third method is to analyze what are the three bodies: gross body, subtle body, causal body, how to go beyond these three bodies and then realize the truth. So I hope it's clear. 3 methods. This is coming from Tattva Bodha, from the definition of Atma, which says Atma is beyond the 5 koshas, 3 avasthas, 3 sharirams. Therefore, Shankaracharya's methodology is what? Study these 3 areas thoroughly. When you study these 3 areas, these are all at the Vyashti level, at the individual level. At my level, I need to understand these 3 ways. And at the Samashti level is the cause, totality. That is where the question is lying here. Is there a cause at the totality level? One cause, if I understand, then I will understand the whole universe, because the student has analyzed, by knowing one clay, I can know all the pots, knowledge of pots, jars. Pot, jar, vases, all these are only name, form, and function. But the material cause is clay. Similarly, if I know gold, I will know bangles, thousands of bangles, thousands of rings, thousands of necklaces, all this which is made up of gold. Is there anything like that in this universe? Because that is the karanam, cause. And the effect is what we see as the world, the Jagat. The Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara is an effect, is a product. But the cause for this product is Brahman. That is the way the Upanishad, Mundak Upanishad, starts this chapter. So the question was asked in verse number 3. The answer broadly was given in verse number 4. The cause is called as Paravidya, and the effect, the product, is called as Apara Vidya. Vidya means knowledge, Para means higher, higher knowledge, lower knowledge. So the lower knowledge is whatever I experience in the world is called as the lower knowledge. What I cannot experience is the higher knowledge. Cannot experience normally without any knowledge of the Veda. So this is how I should try to understand where we are today. In 4th verse, we have seen broad category. In the 6th verse, which we are doing now, we are seeing the definition of this higher knowledge, which is called as the Brahman or Satyam Jnanam Anantam. This is a definition given in Taittiriya Upanishad. In every Upanishad, you will find some definition. Some definition is what? It is not something to define directly, but indirectly it gives. That is why it's called as Lakshana. Lakshana means it gives you an indicative approach to that pure nature. So I was telling you that there are certain Upanishads which are directly involved with the Panchakoshas. Aitareya Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, and this Mundak Upanishad, they focus on the 3 bodies. They focus on gross body, subtle body, and the causal body. By the study of these 2, Para and Apara Vidya, the Upanishad reveals to us our real nature. What is Paravidya? Paravidya means something which is called as consciousness, existence, bliss, higher nature. Now, this consciousness does not change. This is the second point. The third point is it is subjective knowledge. The fourth point is it is eternal in nature. It is the substratum. This knowledge is called as divine knowledge. If you know this knowledge, you will get fulfillment in life. This is what is the Paravidya, higher knowledge. That is what we are searching in the verses of the Upanishads. All the verses of Upanishad, whatever I have described to you as the Paravidya, is our search. This Paravidya, first of all, is understood as Paroksha. That means there is something like this. As a student, first I understand what is this higher knowledge. Then I should apply it to myself and then see whether I can realize this in my own mind. This is the second level, second step. Compared to this, what is Aparavidya? Aparavidya is dealing with matter, Panchabhutas. It is always changing, fluctuating, transforming. It is objective knowledge. If Paravidya, Brahman, Atma is the substratum, Aparavidya is the superimposition. It is worldly knowledge, temporary, transient knowledge. So this is how broadly I should understand. Once I have understood this, then comes the sixth verse. And that is the brilliant verse of Mundak Upanishad. If you ask me one verse, tell me one verse in the whole Mundak Upanishad which describes the reality, which is the best of the most popular Upanishad, most popular verse of Mundak Upanishad is this sixth verse, which is Yattadadreshyam agrahyam agotram avarnam achakshusotram tadapanipadam nityam vibhum sarvagatam sukshmam tad avyayam yad bhutayonim paripashyanti dhira. This is the verse. You need to, for those people who are interested to meditate, it will be easy if you just by heart this. You chant this verse 10 times, automatically you will start getting impression of this in your mind and you will never forget it. 10 times you chant this. In the beginning of the talks, I have the chanting of Swami Paramatmananda played. And you can, I mean, I've sent you the recordings of this. You can just look at the verse, this verse, and by heart it. Now, you see this, what does this verse say? We have studied up to point number 6 last week. I'm just quickly revise up to point 6 and then we'll go into the depth of the verse. Aksharam, this is a very, very important word in this Mundak Upanishad. Normally, we see that everything is perishable. All objective world is perishable. The waking state comes, it perishes. Dream state comes, it perishes. Sleep state comes, again it perishes. Again, the next day, the waking state comes, it perishes. And what about the things and beings and objects in the waking state? All of them also are perishing. If not today, after 5 years, after 100 years, after 2,000 years, the world is changing. So that is what we are experiencing outside. But what is it which is the experiencer of the world? See, now we have to differentiate between the world, which includes my body, my mind, all the punya papams, all that is a part of the world. And the experiencer is called as consciousness, Chaitanyam. That Chaitanyam is Aksharam, imperishable. So if I want to know who am I, the first point you should take up for contemplation is Aksharam. Because in several Upanishads, this is described as Sat Vidya, Satyam. It is also described as Jnanam. It is also described as Anantam. All we have to do is remember these three things and go deep and understand what is this Satyam, what is this Chaitanyam. That knowledge you'll get from the Upanishads. What is Satyam is the subject. That subject is the consciousness. It is never changing. It is the reality. If I know this reality, this Aksharam, there are many words used in this verse. Aksharam, Agrahyam, Agotram, Avarnam, all this. If you want to remember as one word, all this put together is called as Brahman. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, 3 words. You want to collapse into one word, Brahman, which is the totality. If you want to know in my own mind, if I want to know, it is called as Atma. In the individual body-mind complex, it is called as Atma. In the totality of the whole cosmos, it is called as Brahman. That Brahman, which is in the total cosmos, is also present in this body-mind. And the nature of that is Aksharam. This word is so beautiful. I can go into the meaning of the words, the root meaning, and so many things are possible, which Shankaracharya does in his commentary, in his Bhashyam. If you study the Bhashyam of Mundak Upanishad, you will find a lot more depth in these verses. See, we are doing the essence. So in this essence, I'm just giving you maybe 10-20% of the knowledge of the Bhashyams. Bhashyams take a long time to study because Bhashyam means Shankaracharya will take each word and then he will write a huge commentary. To understand that, it's all written in Sanskrit. You need a commentator, then who in English, then that we have to learn. It takes a long time. But initially, you should understand these are all the stepping stones to go forward in spiritual study. So realization of Brahman as oneself gives us the fulfillment. Adreshyam. Adreshyam means it cannot be known by sense organs. The 5 sense organs have got limitations. I can see with my eyes only up to a certain distance. 50 kilometers down the road, I don't know, I cannot see. That is the limitation of the eyes. Similarly, the sound. Below a certain decibel, I cannot hear. So they are all limited by nature. In Kena Upanishad, there's a beautiful question asked by a student. He says that what controls this body? Does the sense organs control the body? Does the mind control the body? Does the jiva control the body? Does Lord Ishvara control the body? And ultimately, the Nirguna Ishvara consciousness, does it control the body? Very beautiful. We'll go through that when we analyze Kena Upanishad. It's a very beautiful way the student is a very, very brilliant student in Kena Upanishad. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He has done a lot of self-reflection. And after self-reflection, he asks a question to the teacher. So similarly here, Adresya means we must know that the sense organs have limitations. They cannot know the Atma, which is much more subtler than the sense organs. The light, the sense organs themselves do not have the light. They borrow the light from the mind. To see the world, according to Veda, there is a light. We are going to study that light in this in the second chapter. We are going to study this the light. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam. In the second chapter, second section, 10th mantra. We'll be studying that. What is this light of consciousness? So, Adreshyam is clear. Agrahyam. Agrahyam means what? It cannot be caught by the organs of action. If it can be caught by, if it can be held by hand, then I can feel the touch. Atma is asparsham. It doesn't have any touch. It is invisible. It cannot be felt, it cannot be touched, it cannot be smelled, none of the 5 sense organs can be used to perceive Atma. That means it is imperceptible. Agotram. Agotram means what? Body has got lineage, but consciousness has no lineage. Lineage means your gotram, your star, and your old tradition by which your family has come. There is nothing like that for Atma. There is no caste, no family, no lineage. It is without a name, without a form. It has no punya papam. It is beyond space, beyond time. That is why it is called as limitless. Ajanma avinashi. Ajanma means what? Birthless. Body is born. When the body is born, the mind comes automatically in the body. The moment you are born, your mind is there. Because mind is just the cause of this gross body is the mind. The cause of that mind is punya papam. And the cause of punya papam is the substratum, which is Brahma. So avinashi is another word for indestruction, non-destructibility. Very similar to imperishability. Avarnam. Avarnam means what? There is no form. Varna. Varna means color, form and color. So it cannot be seen. What is the corollary to this? Whatever is seen is not Brahman. I see a beautiful statue, or I see a vigraham of Lord Krishna, or it is not. It is a stepping stone for that Nirguna Ishvara. Don't end your knowledge and say, I go to a temple, yes, but then your mind has to travel beyond that idol in front of you, and then you start talking to the idol. The stone is inert, but on that inert, you are superimposing a sentient Ishvara who can talk, who can listen, and then you communicate. That is what is called as deliberate adhyasa. Achakshu shotram, very simple to understand. It is free from eyes and ears. What is heard is not Brahman. Suppose you learn, you are hearing something. Some people say, I heard the sound. That is not Brahman. That is not the reality. See, now we are talking about what is the reality. When you go through these verses, you will then do neti neti. This is not Brahman. This is not me. This is not my ultimate. Body is not my ultimate. Mind is not my ultimate. Nirvana Shatkam meditation, which I do in the Wednesday sessions, you should remember that. Apani Padam, free from hands and legs. Nityam. Why is it Nityam? When we study Taittiriya Upanishad, you will understand this word Nityam very beautifully. Because there, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam is described. In simple words, Nityam means time does not affect the subject Atma. Because it is not born, time comes after. It is a product of Atma. In consciousness, time comes and goes. This is what you should remember. Time is a product. It is not the cause. The cause is pure Chaitanya. Very important point in Vedanta to realize the ultimate truth is, because with this knowledge that it is not timeless, it is timeless, time does not affect, then you have so many corollaries. That means it is not the body. That means it doesn't have decay. It doesn't have, it doesn't change. So many corollaries come. Nirvikara, Tattvam comes from there only. Vibhum. Vivida bhavati vibhum. The same one consciousness can appear as different forms. We will see how one in the same Upanishad, there is in the second chapter, first section, first verse, you will find example of how sparks are produced from one flame. Thousands of sparks can be produced. From one log of wood, you can create thousands of sparks. Similarly, from one consciousness principle, the same can appear as reflected in different minds. Vividha bhavati vibhum. Sarvagatam. Sarvagata means that consciousness is all pervading. It is not restricted, it is not limited by time, it is not limited by place. This is what is called as Anantam principle, limitlessness. This consciousness, suppose I go to America, is consciousness there? Yes, because that is what you are. You are not changing your basic substratum. Body has traveled all the way 10,000 miles, you sit on a plane and you go. But then consciousness has not traveled. It's all pervading. So sukshmam. See, so many words are there in this one verse in Upanishad. That is why these verses are supposed to be extremely important verses. And first, there are three methods. I'm sure you all know there are three steps: Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. Shravanam is first you understand. Listen to the Guru. Listen to the scriptures. Mananam is you contemplate on what you have heard. Let that thought keep coming in. Susukshmam means what? Very, very subtle. Let that come in your mind. That is the second step, contemplation. Third step is Ninidhyasanam. Ninidhyasanam in what you do. I am not the body, I am not this. In your own mind, in your own intellect, when you say that, then what happens is you drop your identification with the body and then you are able to be with that pure nature, which cannot be described because it is so sukshma. Prithvi is the grossest, Tattvabodha. 5 properties are there in Prithvi. The body is made of Prithvi, material in nature. So it is gross, my sense organs can perceive. But Akasha, only one property is sound. In between, there are 3 other elements: water, fire, air, space. Space has only one property. And Atma is the cause. Will it have a property or not? It will have no property, attribute-less. If there is no attribute, can my mind think about it? No. So why should you spend time thinking about an object called as Atma? Don't think about the object. Only you have to claim. I am that pure consciousness, has to be claimed again and again, and it becomes so effective in your own mind that you never forget about this truth. Kathopanishad has this wonderful verse which we will learn. Subtler than this Akasha is the mind, subtler than the mind is Paramatma. Avyayam, the 12th indicator. Avyayam means immutable, like an anvil, changeless, kutastha. Without modification, it brings out the creation, sustains the creation, and resolves the creation. That is what is called as kutastha. Very, very brilliant. I mean, it's got a lot of meaning in it. Yat bhutani yonim. It is the womb of all the beings. Pashyanti dhiraha. A wise man who has gone through the study of Upanishads will be able to see this Brahman as the source of reality. See, normally we say our normal minds cannot understand this reality or Atma or Brahman. But a mind which is pure, that is the mind which cannot understand is the impure mind, always agitated, has got 6 inner enemies: Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. A mind which is pure doesn't have the inner enemies. Therefore, you can at any time just drop your external world and just focus on pure consciousness. And when you focus on this pure consciousness, you realize beyond the waking dream and the sleep state, there is this pure consciousness, which is the yoni, which is the womb of the three states of consciousness. In that three states, we have experiences. Today, when we go through our experiences, we think that is the reality. But there is a higher reality in which all the bodies, all the minds, all the punya papams, everything is there. It comes from there, it exists and it goes back. Comes from there, exists, it goes back. This is what a wise man realizes, oh, how come I didn't know this? It is my own truth. This, whatever the Upanishad is describing in these 13, 14 words is ultimately my own truth. But I didn't know this. That is why this is called as Brahma Vidya. It is not the Vidya of the body. It is not the Vidya of the mind. That you can get it from, any psychology book and all that. And also the Upanishad also describes in many, many times what is the creation, what are the five elements, and then we will also see it later in the second chapter. Vividham itself without a change appears as many because it is karyam. The karyam, the product, cannot condition the karanam. Gold will remain gold, but ring can change to a bangle. Bangle can change to a necklace because they're all karyam. Mind in dream without change becomes many avyaya and bhuta yoni. This is a fine example always given by Shastra, and it always tells us whenever you look at this waking world, look at how the dream world is. In the dream world, while you're in the dream, while you are a dreamer, see, this mistake we should always not make. Mistake is what in the waking you try to understand what is dream, what is. But what Upanishad says is, in the dream, be a dreamer and then tell us what you experience. What you experience? In the dream, you experience so many different products, so many objects, beings. In the dream, it is all appears real to you. But only when you wake up, you realize it is all one mind. The waker's mind itself projected that. Similarly, this whole waking world, from the absolute Brahman or that reality standpoint, is one truth. This is what the Upanishad wants to convey. This idea comes in Mandukya, it comes in every Upanishad. A wave and an ocean. Wave is always compared to the body. Wave has got form, it rises and it resolves in the ocean. Ocean is nothing but the five elements, right? The body is born from the five elements, it stays in the five elements and then dissolves in the five elements. Gross body. Similarly, exactly like how a wave rises from the ocean, it exists in the ocean and goes back. Vyashti, samashti. So, how do we describe the wave? We will say ocean is appearing as the wave, and the wave disappears. Wave cannot condition the samashti. One individual body cannot condition the totality. That is what is the meaning of this word vividham bhavati. Param. Param always means limitless, absolute, not conditioned. Body is conditioned, mind is conditioned by time, space, and other objects around. But there is one thing which is not conditioned. That means anything can come and go, but this pure consciousness remains limitless. Time can come, space can come, but it does not affect this pure Chaitanya. Ekam. This is again, now this topic of Ekam is described very beautifully in the Brahma Sutra also. That's where we discuss, are there many Atmas in creation? Each body, does it have one Atma? Or is one Atma appearing as many Atmas? These are all questions which are answered, but here the Upanishad is very clear. There is only one consciousness, one Brahman alone exists. In between, the world is born and dies. In between, it is an appearance of Maya Shakti. Sant Jnaneshwar, one of the very brilliant saints of India, he says, world is seen and it dies. It appears because of Maya Shakti. Where does it appear? In the truth. And the truth is what? The substratum, which is called as Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So, when we look at from that absolute nature, which we all experience beyond the sleep state, you can go beyond your sleep state now. While you're listening in the class, imagine that you have woken up in your sleep state and you're now as Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Pure consciousness, pure existence, pure bliss. From that point of view, when you look at the world, which the waking world, there are two methods in which you can say, I am reflected in the Apara Prakriti, or I am enclosed in the Apara Prakriti. When I say I am reflected, this is one methodology, Prakriya. This is called as Abhasavada, not Abhavavada, there's a spelling mistake there, Abhasavada. Like what? Like the sunlight which is reflected in a mirror. See, the 16 points are over. Now I'm trying to give you a methodology of realizing these 16 as your own nature. In the scriptures, there are two methods which are prescribed. One is Abhasavada, another is Parichedavada. Paricheda means limited, limitless. So when I take the example of enclosed consciousness, in this universe, in the individual body and in the total body, usually the example given is of space. Space is enclosed. It appears enclosed in the room or in a jar, in a pot, but actually it is seemingly enclosed. It is not enclosed. It is one space which is appearing as the space in a pot. Pot space, room space, stadium space, these are all appearances. But there is only one space. Similarly is our consciousness. The light behind the mind, your mind and my mind, there is a one light, which is the light of Sakshi, which is called as Chaitanya. That Chaitanyam is enclosed in the mind or it is reflected in the mind. These are the two methodologies. There are certain advantages when we understand it as a reflection. There are certain advantages when we understand it as an enclosure. I just wanted to introduce this subtle topic so that your understanding becomes more deeper. The two methodologies are beautifully described and analyzed in a text called as Vichara Sagar. Very, very deep analysis is made there. Kena Upanishad classification, Paravidya, Aparavidya. This is another point I want to bring. This is not directly related to the 16 indicators, but again I want to bring it up to you so that you are able to understand what we are getting, what is it which we are trying to appreciate in as our own higher nature. I did touch upon this last week, but I thought it maybe I added this portion today because I thought this will be also help you to go a little bit deeper, understand this Atma as our real nature. Shankaracharya makes a beautiful commentary in Kena Upanishad where he gives these 5 points. He says, contemplate on these 5 points, you will reach Atma. What are the 5 points? Paravidya, or the spiritual principle, the Chaitanya principle, you take it as 5 indicators. The first one is Drishyatvam. I went on it last week, but I thought it is good to repeat again. Drishyatvam means objectifiable. Paravidya, there is a difference here. Here it should be apara, and on the right hand side it should be paravidya. There is you can remove the a here and put the a here. So there is a typing error here. So aparavidya means the matter, principle, the world, the body, mind. It is got 5 features. Number 1, Drishyatvam. Number 2, Bhautikatvam, matter principle made up of 5 elements. Sagunatvam. Sagunatvam means it has got attributes. Savikaratvam, it is changing. Agama pahitvam, arriving and departing. So, suppose you want to sit in meditation, you can go into these 5 points. You will make your mind go deeper. See, this is the way to understand, contemplate, and go deeper and deeper into your own intellect. Many people don't know how to do meditation and they get lost. But this method, if you follow, you will be able to have good meditation, and you will be able to just remember these 5 points and say that whatever I see is not Atma. Whatever is made up of 5 elements is not Atma. That is the right hand side. Adrishyatvam, Abhautikatvam, Nirgunatvam, Nirvikaratvam, Anagama Pahitvam. It doesn't arrive and go. See, the problem is the right hand side, the para is my real nature. My focus till today has been my body and my mind and the world. I have to shift the attention from my current way of looking at things to this new methodology. This is what is called as transformation through the study of Veda. If you are successful in doing this transformation, that is what is called as moksha. See, we study this, the 4th goal, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. What is moksha? This chart. The moment I am able to know within myself, I am of the nature of adrishyatvam, abhautikatvam, nirgunatvam, nirvikaratvam, anagama payitvam. In English, simple English, I am the subject. I am the spirit behind this body. I am always without attributes. Attributes are seen, perceived in the waking state. It is not perceived in the sleep state, but I exist as the pure consciousness in the sleep state. Therefore, when I get up in the morning, I say, I had a good sleep. That I in the sleep state is this Paravidya. It exists. This exists even when the body is dropped in this world. It is eternal. It is always without attributes. I didn't know that fact. I am a mixture in the waking state of consciousness and the body and mind. In the sleep state, the body and mind goes into unmanifest condition, which is the nature of Prakriti, nature of matter. In this consciousness, the Prakriti, the matter, appears and disappears. I'm sure all of you who have heard this much about these 5 features are able to go and have a glimpse of this Atma. I'm sure you get it. I'm sure you all get the glimpse. That is what it is. But that glimpse has to stay as my nature. That is the challenge. Why I need to study regularly so many Upanishads is I get a glimpse of Atma when I'm studying the Upanishad, but that glimpse just disappears the moment my mind goes into the world again. Again, I have to describe, again, I have to withdraw, not physically, but mentally, to understand this nature and make it nishtha. Nishtha means it becomes conviction in my mind. Okay, so much for the 6th verse, very important verse of the Mundak Upanishad. There are going to be 17 verses in the first portion of my talks on the Mundak Upanishad, where I'm trying to give you a summary, essence. There are 17 verses which I'm going to say are the focus, where I spend more time. I spent more time in the first section, the 3rd verse, 4th verse, 6th verse, and now I'm going to do the 7th verse. That is also a focus verse of the first section. What does the 7th verse say? See, a student generally will get confused because in the world, he sees that there are, okay, you are saying there is a cause. That cause is consciousness. But can you give me an example where normally in the material world, we see 2 things. If I look at gold, there is a goldsmith and a gold. Material cause is the gold. Goldsmith is the sentient cause. If I take a pot, there is a clay and there is a clay potter. There's a clay maker, potter. So sentient cause and material cause. Now in spirituality, you're telling me that there is only one cause. Which means what? The material cause and the sentient cause is merged in one. Can you give me an example? Is there something like this? Can my mind think about such a thing? Then the Upanishad says this particular verse. Very important verse. Shankaracharya quotes this. This is pramanam to show that there can be one cause in which the material cause and the instrument and the material cause and the sentient intelligent cause can be in one. And that example is the spider. A spider projects and withdraws a web. If you have not just heard this verse before, then you contemplate on this a little bit more and you will get the point. Normally a spider is there in some corner of the wall at the top. When you're cleaning your house, you'll find a spider, and then you'll find the threads of the spider go down from the ceiling to the floor. You see a fine silk thread which is going from the ceiling to the floor. by which the spider catches insects and then it withdraws and then eats. Now, this example is only to show that there is, in the spider, there is a material cause and the intelligent cause. Both together is resulting in the formation of the web. Similarly, Brahman consciousness is there, it is there, where from which the whole world is coming and in which the whole world is dissolving. Like, for example, from one earth, you get multitudes of different plants, trees growing, different types of coconut tree, mango tree, all is coming from where? One earth. This is a second example. Third example he gives is of a sentient, from a sentient being, non-sentient inert hair grows. So similarly, from an imperishable being, which is the cosmic being, which is called as Purusha, the whole universe of names and forms, both sentient and insentient, can come. This is one example, spider example. Then in the next chapter, he will give the flame example. There are three examples which are very famous in Mundak Upanishad. One is the spider, second is that flame and the spark, and the third example is the two birds on a tree. You should remember, Mundak means immediately these three examples should come to your mind. Adreshyam, Agotram, all this sixth verse which we learned, that should come to your mind. So in the first section, there are 4 verses, number 3, number 4, number 6, and number 7, which are important verses. If you focus on them, you will understand the gist of this Upanishad. So this verse describes how Brahman is the Bhuta Yonim, the source of the entire creation. The universe is born from Aksharam Brahma, this cosmic being, pure being, which is pure existence, pure consciousness, pure bliss. Today, you don't understand, you don't know about this. Perfectly fine, no problem. That is why we come to learn. Every Saturday, we come to learn the Upanishad. When my mind keeps on listening, repeatedly Shravanam, there is this cosmic being, there is this higher nature. It's my own higher nature. When I keep on listening again and again, this opens up my mind into a possibility of a reality of this nature. That possibility becomes a reality. When you repeatedly listen again and again. Yes, this is the truth, this is the truth, this is the truth. And then you contemplate, sometimes when you are walking on the garden or walking on the road alone, or you're just sitting and your mind is idle. You don't have a preoccupied mind. You have an empty mind. At that time, you suddenly think, this example. Yes, it makes sense. So Brahman or Bhagavan is the material cause and the intelligent cause of creation. I have given you the example of clay, pot, and the maker. What is created is Bhagavan itself, which is the material cause. Nothing ever is created in creation. We call it creation because our mind has got the orientation of creation. Like, for example, pot is produced. Similarly, goldsmith produces ring bangle. It's an orientation of the intellect and the mind. Therefore, the Upanishad also comes down to our level and says creation is like this and so on. But what is actually happening? What is happening is manifestation and unmanifestation. This is where you should learn. Initially, yes, I also go through the same. World is created. Yes, yes, yes. But in my intellect, what I should understand, there is a process of manifestation, like the dream manifests and becomes unmanifest, like the sleep manifests, it becomes unmanifest. Similarly, the whole creation is waking state, is manifest, unmanifest in consciousness. So a spider makes the web, pulls it back. Creation is superimposed on the Lord. The Lord is called as Brahman. That pure consciousness with the name and form of the entire world is called as the Lord. It is the manifest nature of that higher reality, which we study in the 11th chapter and the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Vibhuti Yoga and Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga. Dream is superimposed on Waker. Similarly, Waker is superimposed on Atma. I gave you the example of the earth. That is what is explained here in the slide here. Purusha is the sentient living beings and also the inert world. Paramatma, without undergoing a change, appears as the world. Therefore, we say the world, that pure consciousness is Advaitam. See, now you should understand this word Advaitam. Advaitam means what? There is one reality. This is the Shankaracharya's philosophy. What we are studying is Shankaracharya's philosophy of the interpretation of the Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, and Brahma Sutra, where we say, Shankaracharya says, there is only one principle, which is Brahman, which is appearing as this world. And then it goes back to that pure consciousness. There is only non-dual world. Non-dual Atma alone exists. By knowing this non-dual Atma, what is the benefit I get? The benefit I get is moksha. The knowledge of this pure nature of Ishvara or this body-mind complex, the Jiva, the knowledge of the higher reality of both of them itself gives me the liberation from identification of the body as me. See, moksha and all this, the scriptures are very easy to understand. Don't think that your intellect cannot understand, because these are all notions which you get. Many people, they just run away from Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads and Brahma Sutra and all. They just think that it's not my cup of tea. But when you understand it clearly, it gives you so much joy and fulfillment. You cannot express this. You cannot express this. Many people, even in my Wednesday sessions class last week, there was a lot of people who said, there is so much of joy when we listen to these scriptures. Okay, the next verse is verse number 8. It talks about creation. From the absolute standpoint, there is no creation. From the relative standpoint, there is creation. Relative standpoint means what? In the waking state, I look through my mind and my sense organs, there is a creation. How does this creation come? This Upanishad has a style, has its own style of presenting creation. Each Upanishad has its own style. Now here, the style of Mundak Upanishad is, it says that this pure consciousness, pure being, did tapas. Tapas means what? The total creative urge in a being. For example, if I do tapas one day, I don't talk for 8 hours in a day. Don't talk at all. I don't see the WhatsApp. I don't use my mobile phone for 8 hours. In today, it is the biggest tapas you can make. More difficult than all going on sitting under a tree is staying away from your mobile for 8 hours. Tapas. So similar, this creation came when this pure being sat alone, and then in his cosmic mind, he thought I should become many. And then he created the food, he created the prana, he created the mind, he created the panchabhutas, and all this world came about because in this world there are, in the creation, in potential form, there are jivas who need a world to come and enjoy and the fruits of their actions. So the creation which we see, the waking state, is nothing but only a world in which the jivas come. I wake up in the morning, I come, I enjoy certain fruits of my past actions. I did some work in last month, I did some work, today I enjoy the fruit. 30 days I worked in the office, today I get my salary, I enjoy the fruit. So similarly, every day we enjoying the fruits of previous actions. So Brahman, the creator, has infinite power, becomes conscious of his power like a painter. Suppose he becomes conscious that I can do something. I can do a painting. You ask any painter, he will say that, in my mind, I did tapas. Tapas is just a word, I thought that there is some image of something I want to create in the world. Then he takes the brush and prepares and makes a painting. Similarly, a sculpturer. Similarly, I mean, you can extend it to so many things. Painter, singer, writer. It is all coming from the inner urge, which is called as tapas. Each one of us has this power, and we can become very creative. And then when you create it, it gives you joy. Similarly, the creator created the food, created the world for the karma phalams. And this whole creation is his joy. And here's just a sequence is given how from unmanifest avyakta, which is undifferentiated state. Don't get too much carried away by these words, undifferentiated and avyakta, all this means what? Just see what is your sleep state. Sleep state is the unmanifest condition of the world in a potential form, because tomorrow morning again it will come. The world will come before your eyes. So in our sleep state, the world is in unmanifest condition. Then there is a subtle manifestation in the mind. Mind first wakes up, subtle manifestation. Then the gross world we see. So prana, total mind, the subtle body. Sometimes we say the subtle body, we give focus on the prana element. Sometimes we focus on the subtle body, which is the mind. When we say mind, we say Hiranyagarbha. So from this total mind, there was a ahamkara of the totality. That means Ishvara's ahamkara. From his ahamkara was born the panchabhutas. He said, okay, let me create the 5 elements. Then the gross world came about. And why is the world created? The purpose is karma phala exhaustion of the jivas. So what is the one cause which has become everything? It is this pure cosmic being, which is called as Purusha in the Upanishads. That has become the entire world. It is the material cause, it is the sentient cause, and the whole thing goes back to that pure consciousness. This is what is called as manifestation, unmanifestation, creation in Mundak Upanishad. In every Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad has a different form. In Chandogya Upanishad, they talk about 3 elements. In Taittiriya Upanishad, they talk about 5 elements. So each one has its own style, but we go through this so that our mind becomes more purer to understand our real nature. This reality is called as Satchit Ananda, all-knowing principle. It is therefore called as Sarvajna, Sarvavit. Sarvajna, Sarvavit, it has the potential, it has the power to create because it knows all the jivas. See, a waker's mind knows all the dream world because he can create that world. How to create? He has that potential. Similarly, there is one higher power which creates this entire waking. And it illumines everything. You see, Chaitanyam is the illuminating principle of that powerful God. Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Jnanam is the knowledge principle, which is the Chaitanyam principle. Now, that consciousness principle is not conditioned because it is the Karanam. Any Karanam is not conditioned by the Karyam. Time, space, objects are Karyam, whereas the pure consciousness is the Karanam. So from the relative standpoint, what we can say, the world has come from this Brahman. From the absolute standpoint, what do we say? Because in the absolute sense, what is there? Pure consciousness alone is there, which is our experience also. I alone am there in the sleep state as the Satyam Jnanam Anantam principle. Therefore, now I understand what is relative standpoint and what is absolute standpoint. Many of the seekers, when they study the Bhagavad Gita, they feel that chapter 9, verse 4 and 5 are very tricky verses. I don't understand that at all. Why? Because what is the 4th verse of the Bhagavad Gita? Maya tatamidam sarvam jagatabdakta murtinaha mastani sarva bhutani nachaham tesho bastitaha. What is the Lord saying in the 4th verse? He says, they are in me. The world is in me. I am in them. As what? As the material cause. This is what we should understand. In the 4th verse, the Lord is talking as if he is the material cause in every karyam, in every product. The material cause remains the same. In all the pots, you will find the clay. Which is called as the immanent principle. Now, in the next verse, what does he say? Nachamastani bhutani pashyame yogamaishwaram bhuta bharnacha bhutastaha mamatma bhuta bhavanaha. I'm digressing into Bhagavad Gita to explain the point of transcendental principle and immanent principle. In the next verse, in the 5th verse, what does the Lord say? I am not in them and they are not in me. 4th verse, it says, I am in them, they are in me. Next verse, he says, no, I am not in them. Here, what the Lord is saying is, as an intelligent cause of creation, I alone am. Pure consciousness, I alone am. Knowing that intelligent cause, one gets moksha. Simple example, you take the dream. Dream and the waker. Everything in the dream is me only. I can say they are in me, I am in them. Very clear, because I am the material cause of the dream. In the waking world, what can I say? I can say as a waker, from the strong point of the waker, dream is not in me, they are not in me, and I am not in them as a waker. So this two levels you should, the moment you understand the two levels, similarly waking and Atma, let your mind travel in the direction of Atma, which alone is. Each and every seeker has to do this on his own. Understand the immanent principle, the transcendent principle, to know that ultimate truth which is beyond both immanent and transcendent. That is the essence of this verse. So we have seen the first section is over with this verse. 9 verses were there. Very important section of the Mundak Upanishad we have finished. 4 verses are very important, 3, 4, 6, and 7. Third verse is the question. 4th verse is the general answer of the para apara vidya. The 6th verse is the definition of Brahman. The 7th verse is the spider example to tell us that there can be a possibility of one Purusha, one consciousness, from which the entire world of names and forms, which is a product, which is a karyam, that pure consciousness is my real nature, which is called as Satyam Jnanam Anantam. From that consciousness, this whole world is appearing, manifesting, and unmanifesting. So much knowledge packed in 9 verses. So much knowledge. You understand these 9 verses, you've understood reality. You have understood the whole Upanishad. Essence of this whole Upanishad is there in this 4 mantras, 3, 4, 6, 7. Very good. Now we go to the second section. The second section is an elaboration of Apara Vidya. We have studied the elaboration of Paravidya. Paravidya is the consciousness, existence, bliss, limitless nature of myself and Ishvara, which appears as this world. The second section deals more with the rituals. I will just run through it because there are only 2 verses here, which there's only 1 verse. In fact, there's only 1 verse which I consider as a very important verse. But otherwise, I will just run through these verses, not too much in depth. You read the verse, you will understand the meaning, and you can proceed also. Verse number 1. The verse number 1 says that in the olden days, Treta Yuga, people practiced both Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. Karma Kanda means the first portion, Veda Purva Bhaga. Suppose I'm interested to have pleasures in the world. Forget, this is what 99.9% people want in this world, because they are coming here for enjoying the world. They ultimately, what do they say? I have enjoyed this world with so much of joy. I want a better world. There are 7 other worlds which are higher lokas. How do I go to those lokas and enjoy pleasures? That is the goal. That is my only goal. Now, the whole section is all meant for, this whole section is meant for those people. In the last 12th verse, the Lord will say, now these people have understood the reality is different than this world. So, Karma Kanda is meant rituals. Karma Kanda means the ritual section. It is a very bulky portion of the Veda. All the mantras, all the, you see, all our samskaras, whatever samskaras, when we take all the rituals which we conduct, the mantra portion is a very bulky portion. So this section is teaching us about rituals. Karma Kanda, before we perform a ritual, we have to do certain pujas. Ganesha Puja, Kalasha Puja, Navagraha Puja, these are all pujas. Whenever you attend a ritual, even if it is a Veda Parayana ritual, where you just to chant Taittiriya Upanishad and Mahanarayana Upanishad for 2 hours. It takes 2 hours to chant these two Upanishads. Simple Parayana. You just chant the whole Upanishad. But before the chanting, there is a Ganesha Puja done. So that you say, oh Lord, let my obstacles be removed for the next 2 hours. Let me just focus, and because so many obstacles can come. You pray to the Lord to remove the obstacles. If you don't do this Ganesha Puja before, they say that your 7 generations can get destroyed. This is only an exaggeration. Verse number 2. When the fire is kindled, the flames begin to move. Then what happens? You put the oblations. Where do you put the oblations? In the space where the fire is there, in the central portion of the fire. In the central portion, you put the ghee, the clarified butter, you pour. This is what is called as Agnihotra Puja, Atiti Puja. You must do these pujas, preparation work, before you take up the actual ritual. Then what are the sacrifices? What are the oblations? What are the fruits? What are the what do you offer in the flame, in the Agni, in the Homa Kunda? All this is mentioned in the verse number 3. Verse number 4 talks about the flame, the fire itself, and there are certain descriptions of the fire, which I will explain to you in the next slide. The 4th mantra, I have an explanation there. So we have to pour the oblations at a proper time in the flame, shining flame. We pour the oblations. Don't put in the corner where there's no, the flame is already dying out. Put in the center where it is a shining. Because in the fire, I see the Devata there, shining Devata. Many people, they imagine, in their own mind, you can imagine that there is a Devata in the Agni, Agni Devata. Agni Devata is an exalted Jiva. In his Manushya Janma, he has done a lot of rituals. And he has become an exalted being, and he has got a lot of powers. He can give blessing to so many jivas because he is an exalted being. Similarly, Surya Devata, you pray to Surya Devata, it is an exalted being. In that Surya Devata, when he was a Manushya, he had done a lot of rituals. So by rituals, what do you get? You get the powers of the Devatas, you get the powers from them, and through those powers, your prayers get answered. Sometimes the Agni is supposed to be the messenger to the Devatas. It carries your prayers to that Devata in the Swargaloka. These are all details given in these verses. I'm not going to go into into more details because These are all to do with the rituals. Many may not be interested in this. The 7 flames in a yajna are called as Kali, Kara, Manojava, Sulohita, Sudharmavarna, Spulingini, Vishwarji. What are the meanings of this? The black portion in a flame which you see is called as Kali. The terrific portion, the sparkling one, is called as Karaha. The swift portion, sometimes the flame goes left and right. The swift flame which goes left, right, that is called as Manojava. Deep red flame, in the center, sometimes you'll find red. That is called as Sulohita. Then there is a smoke-colored flame, Sudharmavarna. Sparkling flame is called as Spulingini. If for the details of this, you can go back to the Upanishads. If you can go and see the commentary on these mantras if you are interested. But for general people, just understand these are the 7 different types of flames. The details are given in the Mundak Upanishad. So we offer ahutis to the flame. The devata of the flame will take you to the Brahmaloka to satisfy your prayers. Sometimes what happens is, if you have done a lot of rituals, you yourself after the end, this is what is said in the Shastra, that people who have done a lot of upasana, while doing the ritual itself, the ritual explains certain upasanas to be done. Upasana on Prana Devata, Upasana on Surya Devata, Upasana on so many Devatas. If you do that also, what happens is you gain higher and higher lokas. So much so that you can go up to Brahma Loka, and there you can get the mukti also. Bhagavad Gita 8th chapter, if you have studied, you will understand what I am saying. Okay, with this I will stop today. We will start with the 7th mantra of the 2nd section of the 1st chapter next week. And then we will go through this like how we have done. And I have sent you along with the invitation today. Last week I told you there is Anubhuti Prakasha by Swami Vidyaranya, a very great acharya who lived long, long ago. He has written a commentary of 100 verses on this Upanishad. I have sent today about 525 and 30 pages of this. I have written notes on this 100 verses. For those of you who are interested while you're studying this Mundaka, you can also study those, study that commentary. Swami Vidyaranya has got a very unique way of explaining the truth. As you read those commentary, you will be able to understand. Because now that I have given you the gist of the Upanishad, slowly you start reading and you will understand. Some of the important mantras I've also told you. You can go there and read the portions which talk about those mantras. You will be able to understand. I will try to take some of the highlights of those 500 odd pages. Some say 30. I put the highlights in the end of that 530 pages, some highlights. That portion I will try to take after I finish this current presentation. Okay? A lot of people after my last session, they kept on sending messages. I want that volume now. I want to, I had just finished the first volume, the second and the third volume were not ready. So I told them, just wait for some time. No, but some said, send me the first volume itself. So today I managed to send all the 3 volumes. This is just for your reference. You don't need to look at it today. I will be going through that. After I finish the current presentation of about 65 pages, I will get into that. I will give you a gist of that also, so that Mundak Upanishad becomes very strongly ingrained in your mind. That is what I want you to get from all these talks. See, the idea is the essence. If you pick up the essence, you know the truth. And ultimately, you have to contemplate. These notes are written in very simple English, so you can, when you read them after the explanation of these talks, you will really enjoy it. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Okay, there are no comments in the chat box. If you have a question, you are free to ask now. You can unmute yourself and slowly ask the question. Shanmugam is already unmuted everybody. And now you are ready to ask questions. Yeah, Shama, you have something?
No, I just feel very guilty that, I almost grabbed the whole session. Okay. But partly it is because I will not be guilty because I just enjoyed so much.
Okay, good.
So therefore I'm not guilty. So I rest my case in that. 2 small questions. One is this, this idea of the Homa you've just said about the, how the Agni Devata, like the Surya Devata, he is actually a messenger. Yeah. And plus, of course, is like, taking us to whatever Brahmaloka and whatever else. Yeah. So he's taking a message for us, so because whatever we desire. So Agni Devata is doing that. That's what correct. I wanted to ask was, because then it will make me kind of really embrace it. Does it actually also help in the Chitta Shuddhi?
Yes, yes. See, when you pray to the Lord, you go to the temple. There in the temple, sometimes they give you small Agni, small pot where you can carry that the small container to the Lord and keep it there. There are some temples where you can do that. Now, there are 2 prayers which are possible. One prayer is, I want something in this world. I want to pass my exam. I want to have a good Sunday next week. I have got some house ceremony. I need a prayer. That prayer you can ask the Lord. It's very powerful. The Devatas are extremely powerful and they can give you the blessing. This is one prayer. The second prayer is, you can go to the same Devata and say, I want Chitta Shuddhi. I am a seeker of knowledge. I am a seeker of Brahma Vidya. I want knowledge. You can go, you can pray at home. You can just, you can say, and the same Devata can bless you.
Okay. So that's great.
So don't think that I have prayed, I didn't get my result, forget about it.
No, because obviously that's why I asked about Chitta Shuddhi, because there is that idea that is actually, so the next question to that is, says there is some, what do they call them? There's somebody who organizes the Havan.
Yeah,
so they.
Yeah, that's correct.
There is some name for it.
Hota.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So somebody like
there is a chief priest, and then there are sub priests.
Yeah.
So the chief
like
priest,
the Kathopanishad, his father, Nachiketal's father had organized, isn't it?
Yes.
So he was it's like the main person who's organized.
Correct.
There's some name, I can't remember what name,
Yeah.
but so what I was asking is, so it's not only the person who's organized it, the Havan and all that, which he actually benefits, but also those people who actually attend that yajna.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah,
See,
Havan.
different people get different benefits when they are doing the Agni Homa, in the Homa Kunda.
Agni Homa, yeah.
So the priests, they also have Chitta Shuddhi. They need Chitta Shuddhi. So they are benefited. The people who are actually pouring the oblations, they are also getting benefited. Okay. Then there is a Yajamana, the person who has organized the whole.
That is the Yajamana. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
Yajamana is a person who has paid for the yajna. He has paid, say, 1,000 pounds. He has paid and said, "Please do this on my name." Okay. Yajamana also gets the benefit.
And all those people who have attended.
People are attending also, they get the benefit.
Perfect. So that is one question. The other thing is, do the Upanishads, do they ever sort of also explain that the symbolism of the Agni Homa is not only that there is this Agni Devata, but somewhere you actually, just as whatever you put in the Agni Homa, it actually becomes that fire, isn't it?
Yes, see, the whole psychology behind the fire ritual is what you're trying to say, ultimately what you're trying to do is trying to withdraw from the world, vairagya. You see, that is the whole psychology behind the fire ritual. What you're saying is, idam namama. Idam namama is, it is not me. This is yours. This is yours. This is not me. This is not me. When you physically put the oblations, that is a stepping stone for your mind to say that body itself is not me.
Correct.
Mind is itself not me. When I learn to pour small things like a oblation of ghee or oblation of grains into the fire, idam namama, idam namama, idam namama. It is not me. The same thing you can do when you do Vishnu Sahasranama Archana also.
Yeah. But in some ways, and I hope Deepak ji is not here, or if he is there,
he will come back next week to ask the question to you. He is not here.
Because he objected to one of my words, and I'm going to use it again, that this is also a symbolic opportunity for those of us we are attending or as guests, or who is the Yajamana, whoever, that we actually dissolve, just like as all the ghee and all the oblation which we are putting in. I am actually also the bhautika part, me, the anatma part, which is a big problem. My body and mind, particularly the mind, that ego, I'm actually dissolving in it. I'm actually putting it into this flame of Agni, which represents to me Jnanam, so that is, Agni is somehow, I don't know why it feels as if it's Jnanam, but it can be only obtained if you're happy to surrender or put all of your, the Anatma principle into that. So I just wondered whether this is something that has been described in
Kathopanishad. This comes very, this what you're explaining comes in Kathopanishad.
Acha.
This is an idea, this is a teaching in Kathopanishad, where the teacher says that in the Agni, ultimately you're dissolving your ego.
Dissolving, okay.
Yes,
I got you to say the dissolving.
In Kathopanishad, there is one verse which says, a person who has dissolved his ego, he realizes the ultimate truth.
Yeah, because I've heard, for example, some of the, before people get initiated into sannyasa in some of the ashramas,
Yes.
like I definitely know for Ramakrishna ashrama, where the sannyasis, they have to actually do their own antyeshti.
Yes, that's right. They say
so,
that, now I'm burning my body, and instead of waiting for the last day, oh Lord, I give it to you now, today itself,
Correct. So this is why it has kind of been a big inspiration for me.
Yeah.
That particular. So the next one is, the PDF which you sent, the Anubhuti Prakasha. Are there many chapters? Because this one is chapter 6, volume 1, 2, 3. So I'm guessing there must be many more other chapters.
Yes. There are, I think, 19, 20 chapters in it.
God.
Each Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, Mundak Upanishad, Keno Upanishad, there are all these Upanishad. Swami Vidyaranya has given his own commentary.
My God.
And his own style of presenting the Upanishad so that you can realize the truth.
Wow.
You see, that is what I really like about this Anubhuti Prakasha. It's amazing. You go through these 500 pages notes, you will find, see how beautifully he has expressed it, It takes time. It takes time to go through this. It will take time. Only people who are interested to go deeper into the actual realization, they will be interested in this. For example, you will do bhashyam only when you are interested deeply into life, because it takes time. See, bhashyam, sometimes it takes time because every word is described. Here, Swami Vidyaranya doesn't describe every word. He takes an idea and he says, for example, in Keno Upanishad, which I'm doing now, of Anubhuti Prakasha, very beautifully he has described the first chapter, the first first verse itself. For one verse, he has given 5 verses. And he says, what a brilliant student this Keno Upanishad student is. And he says why he is considered him brilliant. And why that first question, how the first question of the student in Keno Upanishad, what is the power behind the mind? What is the power behind the prana? The way he has gone and described it, I have never seen in any other.
I can't wait for that.
Because
the verse 8, the tapasa, the Brahma tapasa, the Brahman himself did it. Before that, as you were actually giving the talk, and I was thinking this is wonderful because all of this whole creation, I was just thinking about it as you keep continuing to talk, So I was thinking, is it not the whole of the creation? Is it not an amazing dream of Brahma? I was thinking in that terms, that it looks like as if it's a dream, which is the most incredible dream, this thing. And the analogy of the wave and the form, waveform and the ocean, I actually just wondered, should it not be really? I would love to think that we are not the wave. Actually, we are only the droplets, the droplets on the wave, the foam and the froth that you see. So many drops we are there. So with the wave, you're dancing up and dancing down, so you're actually going up and down, seeing all the tsunamis, you're watching all the other droplets alongside, because that's the temporary world joy that you see. And of course, the only knowledge of that joy of the droplet should be where you're so constantly so aware that I'm never far away from my home, which is the water, which is the Brahman. So it is something so beautiful for kind of a meditative thing. I just love that. So I just wanted to share that. And there was one other, this thing, God. Oh no, it's just it's amazing how far you say the scriptural teaching, and like Jacqueline was sharing her experience.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether I should laugh about it or if you should feel sorry about it, but it was very funny because so yesterday, when after, I don't know, several months, I haven't been at all to one of these malls, but that was primarily because my phone had died, so, and I just really, I can't feel as if, that dependence on the phone is very vital to whatever. So as I were, and so all of the, like, especially this London mall, you just see, and I was thinking, one human species, because that is how the collection of people you see, one human species, imagine the design of the Brahman, as to how, and I was thinking, what a potter he must be.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, that's
What
why.
a potter he must be to create so many colors, so many sizes, so many different. I was just, and it was very funny actually. So this is the funny part of it. I was thinking, God, my whole vision was completely different, where otherwise I would look physically at people as people. And I used to have thoughts about them, but this was the funniest one where I thought, no, God is a potter. That's what I just decided, the potter. And the crazy part of it is humans, because we are never happy with the way we look. On top of it, it was just incredible to see how the city of London and all this lookism, people are so engrossed in what they look like. So they further create another Srishti of, on top of Brahman Srishti, they further create so that even if Brahman came, he would think, this is not what I made, So, but what I was thinking was this whole Vedanta scope. I like to think it's almost as if I was carrying a Vedanta scope in my head. So the whole place looked different. I've been there several times before, but yesterday, apart from the fixing my iPhone, that was a complete different vision. So I just wanted to share that, that how God, I don't know, it's just so
this
beautiful.
is this is the vision change which you get when you do the Vedanta. See, this is
incredible.
This is the vision change. So, and then your vision will keep changing as you study more and more. Your vision of this whole universe will keep transforming, and a time will come when your vision will say, "All Brahmasmi is the truth."
Yeah.
You have to
So far
I'm
enjoying. I almost felt like applauding the Lord. I said, my God,
Yes,
no one could do
that is the first step. This is the chapter 10 of the creation. Chapter 10 of the Bhagavad Gita, Vibhuti Yoga. The whole world is nothing but my glory.
And the Panchadasi chapter 10 as well.
Oh yes, Panchadasi, yes. And also, yes.
Yeah, the Deepak.
Yes.
Sorry, I've taken too much time. Thank you.
Yeah, Vijaya, you have, Jacqueline, you're saying something?
Yeah. Oh, Vijaya can go first.
Okay, Vijaya, can you tell me what you have? You have some questions?
I have one clarification and one question. I think the whole concept of karma kanda, I think, and yajna, which was a topic of discussion subsequent to your session, I think was pretty engrossing. But I think the way I reflect it, if you may correct me, if my thought process is wrong, then I would accordingly change. I would draw your attention to chapter 3. The entire chapter 3 talks about this, especially verse 9, 10, and 11, where the Lord pretty much says this, yajnartha karmano anyatra lokeyam karma bandhana. He says, man becomes bound by all the actions other than done in sacrifice. Correct. So he definitively says the yajna is the only way to lead a life, to purposeful life. But at the same time, he immediately also defines the yajna so that it does not leave the question to be answered by my own intellect, which can easily get misinterpreted. He says very clearly in 10 and 11, he says, this yajna, which you talked about together with, but he says that this is where you do this yajna, definitely you will yield all the coveted objects of desire. But he says very clearly, Devan bhavayati nahate deva bhavayantuva parasparam bhavayanta. He says that you will have to nourish the gods and let those gods nourish you. So that's the reason probably why you call all the gods and see, so that you will get this habit of giving. I think the yajna bhava is the only way to give, is to live the life purposefully. Otherwise, chapter 3 again states all of, at least me, if I don't live my life with this yajna bhava, it brands me as a sthena, which is a thief. I think that's what's coming out. But at the same time, chapter 7 also takes me very beautifully to this verse 21 and 22, where he says, whosoever deity you worship with the faith, it establishes the faith. And he says, with that faith, if you sa taya shraddhaya yukta staya adhara mihate labhate cha tatah kaman sarvaitira. So all the desires will be, all your coveted desires will be fulfilled by that devata if you put in the shraddha.
Correct.
But he again puts a caution to me, beware, because it draws me back to 8:13, aho brahma bhuvana loka punaravartino yanchana. There is no point of asking anything, because even when you said that you will go to the brahma loka, but you will be a recycled stuff, you will be coming back again for this punarapi jananam. I think that we need to avoid. And then he strikingly concludes in 9:27 saying, that is the reason why he says, yat karoshi yat nashi yat juoshi tadayat. So whatever you do, eat, sacrifice, even that yajna bhava, give it to me as Ishwararpanam. I think that is what I think I draw from the last portion of the Karma Kanda. That's the reason why probably Karma Kanda comes before Jnana Kanda. You do all the actions like, Prachina Barhis in Bhagavatam. If you do not understand the knowledge behind it, I think you're just wasting our time. That is what I thought, one clarification on Yajna Kanda. Going to my question is on when you are presenting, I think the portion after verse 4 in verse 4 Kathopanishad, I think before Aparavidya Paravidya.
Correct.
Is that the one? I think there is one portion.
4, that's correct, which is Paravidya and Aparavidya. You're right.
So in that portion, that before verse 7, that the PPT which I had through your email didn't have this portion where you were telling about these 5 aspects of para and apara.
Yeah, I didn't have. I added it today.
Yeah, exactly. So the captions of that, I don't know if I thought it to be should have been swapped, or is my understanding wrong?
No. I just added that today just to increase a little bit more depth into my presentation. I just added that portion today. It was not there before, but I just added because this, if you understand, see, basically what I was trying to say was that 16, 14, 15 factors which are there, ultimately you have to come back to this reality about those 5 features about Atma and Atma. And because only when you understand Atma is this, Anatma is this, Adrishyatvam, Bhautikatvam, all that, then you will be able to appreciate those 14 factors. Your starting point should be to understand matter and consciousness first, para and apara. Then you apply those 14 portions, and that is how you grow in spirituality.
Yes, Kananji, but the caption on top, I felt it looked swapped to me, like where para should be there.
No, that I corrected it. I corrected it while I was talking.
I missed that.
I think you missed a portion. I said there is a typographical error.
Okay.
And para is said as apara, apara is said as para. It is because it was done in a hurry today towards the end of the beginning of the talk. I think there is a correction there. Para and apara should be interchanged.
Okay. And I have one more question where you said
regarding your first portion of your yajnas and the way you have described it, your understanding is perfect. You have beautifully summarized the entire Karma Kanda portion, Karma Yoga portion of the Bhagavad Gita with your explanation of the 3rd chapter, the 4th chapter of where all the yajnas are mentioned, and 7th chapter, 9th chapter. Your summary is very good. I appreciate that. Well done.
Yeah. My last question. I don't exactly remember where you mentioned about Nirguna and Saguna aspect of Brahman. I am not getting that aspect where you mentioned that Brahman is not in the world. So I don't know. I lost it now. I lost that part of it where I just had I just wanted to, yeah. I think Avaranam. I think this concept of Avaranam. What is seen is not Brahman. I think that's what is written there.
Yes.
From the concept of Abhivaktam, Vibhaktam cha.
Yes.
So from that concept, or even that three concept of Adhishtanatvam of the Brahman.
Yes.
See the from the concept of Paramatmika, I agree. From the concept of Vyavaharika, the same Brahman is the Jagat also, isn't it?
Yes.
So when I really take the Saguna Akaratvam of the Brahman, then the Jagat which I see is also the Brahman.
Correct.
So to that extent, maybe when you really say at the level of Hiranyagarbha, okay, fine, he may not be. He's a seed form. I don't have the Varna, Nama, Rupa. But when he establishes as a Vishwarupa, or when he establishes as Virat Swarupa, then and why should I not believe in the name and a form? Because that's what brings that love for me. Because I describe him, I pray to him, I sing bhajans to him. So why should I Brahma not have a name and a form?
Yeah, see, what you should understand is, initially you do Atma Anatma Viveka first, saying that this is the matter principle, this is the spiritual principle. That is the step one. But later on, when you are doing step 2 and 3, what you should do is you should say that ultimately it's one reality. And that one reality is appearing as a world. You see, that is why the Saguna Brahman and Nirguna Brahman be split into two initially, so that the student can understand that there is something called as Nirguna Brahman also. But Saguna Brahman, or the world, or when you look at the Pancha Koshas, ultimately you should say that this is all a reflection of that pure consciousness. That should be the understanding. The entire world, it should be ultimately the Nirguna Tattvam. By itself, it cannot be explained.
Correct.
That is why in the Pancha Koshas, in the Taittiriya Upanishad Bhashyam, Shankaracharya has made this clarification. He says that when you come to Anandamaya Kosha, in the previous 4 koshas, you drop it and say that they are Annamaya is not me, Pranamaya is not me, Manomaya is not me, Vijnanamaya is not me. But when it comes to Anandamaya Kosha, what you do is, in the Anandamaya Kosha, there is the Atma portion also. There is a Brahman portion also. So don't discard the entire Anandamaya Kosha as a complete kosha and drop it. Don't discard that. In the Anandamaya Kosha, take and retain the Brahma portion, which is the Ananda Atma. In the Anandamaya, there are 2 things. One is Ananda Atma portion, another is the Kosha portion. The Kosha portion is what is called as Priya, Moda and Pramoda. That is the Kosha portion. But if you study the Anandamaya Kosha, the 5th Kosha, there is something which is called as Ananda Atma. So similarly, what I'm saying is, you can go up to the level of saying everything is Brahman, everything is the Saguna aspect of Brahman, is this whole universe. But you should always retain a small portion as Nirguna, because you should say in the end that this is an Upadhi. This is a
Yeah.
upadhi.
Yeah.
The world is a upadhi. The thought is a upadhi. The body is an upadhi. The three states are all upadhis. For what? For me, in my own intellect, to realize that pure nature.
Mm.
Very important point when you come to it. This is all meant for senior students. You see, at the end, you should not drop yourself with the whole creation. Then you become a non-existent person. You can drop everything except the Atma.
Atma.
So-
But establishing in that Chumbakasya Anandamaya Kosha becomes very difficult, because that kiss of Brahman is lost, because that Karana Sharira dies the moment I get up, because of my having this Mula Vidya, isn't it? I don't
Correct.
remember.
But that Mula Vidya goes away and you retain the self. See, this is where your ignorance goes away and you say, I am that Adhishthana.
Okay.
This is the last step. This is a very important step, and only when you have gone through the depth of some of the text, higher text, you will come into this Mula Vidya ignorance. How the ignorance goes away in the end is only through the knowledge that everything is an upadhi. And it is an adhyasa. See, you have done the adhyasa bhashyam, you know. Shankaracharya clearly says the whole world is an adhyasa. Whatever my mind is thinking is an adhyasa. Every thought of mine is an adhyasa. But what is the one which is the substratum without which this adhyasa cannot exist? That is what you should remember and say, I hold to that substratum as my real nature. Internally, you have to do it. Then your ignorance will go away. Then your own intellect will be convinced. Yes, I think what the Upanishad says is the truth. This is where the Mula Vidya goes away. You know, for a seeker, till this Mula Vidya goes away, doubts will keep coming in his mind. And you cannot avoid it. But that is why repeated Shravanam and Mananam helps. Keep listening, and then you will get into the depth. You know, you will get a little bit more deeper. Your intellect will start appreciating what is this Mula Vidya. Many a times, the intellect is completely foxed. You know, like for example, our entire sleep state is avidya. Whole state of sleep. That is what is avidya. And what lies beyond that state is Brahman.
Yeah.
So till you realize that I am sleeping to my real nature. I'm sleeping to my real nature. So long I've been sleeping. I've been thinking that I am the one who's sleeping. I am the body, mind which is sleeping. No. You are not that body which has gone to sleep, mind which has gone to sleep. You are not that. So in some of the texts, this Mula Vidya is brought out very beautifully, and it says, your ignorance is nothing but your sleep state. The whole state, how do I get rid of this from my mind? So that I can reach the final state of Brahmanhood. So once this intellect accepts, once it has to accept this, I have been sleeping to my real nature. The intellect has to apply that knowledge of the Veda to itself. And once it applies it and it's gone, there is no more. Then your intellect will stop asking questions. It will say, Aham Brahma Asmi is the truth. That's it. After that, you will not have any question about any aspect of the Upanishads. Nothing. There will be zero questions. There will be zero question, and there are people who have realized it. Let that happen. Once it happens, you yourself will also get convinced. Oh my God, this is what, my Amula Vidya is still not gone. I'm still looking at my mind and its projections, and I'm thinking that that is real. The projections are only temporary. It is just a thought. It is happening in the Vyavaharika field, but in the Paramarthika field, there is no projection. There is no body and mind in Paramarthika state. In that Paramarthika state, I alone am there as pure consciousness. All that which I experience is Vyavaharikam, Vyavaharikam, Vyavaharikam. It is, so this difference of Vyavaharikam and Paramarthikam is a very subtle topic in Vedanta. And it will
Shekharji, this explains the concept of agochara.
Yes.
The reason being, you know, the whole concept is because of my agyan, I have this vikshepa, and vikshepa is when I wake up, and vikshepa is where I use my intellect and mind. Because when I'm in deep sleep, my intellect is not there, my mind is not there. But the unfortunate condition is I have to get my mind into mauna. That means go back from the vikshepa to the avarana.
What you have to do is you have to only realize that the mind and its projections is Vyavahari. Don't try to make the mind zero. It's not possible.
No, mind should become what do you call? So when I want today the chitta vritti nirodha, if I want to do, it means ekadharavat, if I want to do that ananya chintan of the Lord, for example, that's what the whole purpose
if you want to do that, you'll have to say that. Yes.
If that is the case, then I need the mind for that. Unfortunately, when you want to kill the moola avidya, that where it is, there is no mind and that concept. When you are in deep sleep, there is no mind or intellect. So probably that is the reason why they say Brahman is agochar, because it is not objectifiable.
No, there are two awarenesses which are there. One awareness is called as self-awareness. The second is called as awareness of the mind. What you will be destroying is the awareness of the mind, but there is a sakshi awareness which will remain, which is what you will be owning up. You're not going to destroy that because that cannot be destroyed. It is completely, Shastra says the awareness of the self can never be negated.
Yes.
This knowledge you must apply. Okay, mind will go away, no problem. But that is where Shankaracharya defeated the people with this.
Mandala Mishra.
Yes, Mandala Mishra. He said, okay, you're still applying your mind, but there is something called as Sakshi, and it has got its awareness. That is what we are in our sleep state, because there is an awareness principle, a pure awareness principle, which exists beyond the three states, which is called as Turiyam, which is the same as the sixth mantra. What we have seen in the sixth mantra of the Mundak Upanishad is the seventh mantra of Mandukya Upanishad. Same. And even in Kaivalya Upanishad, the 19th mantra of Kaivalya mantra is the same. Mayeva sakalam jatam, mayi sarvam pratishtitam. That is exactly describing the same pure Brahman state. I'm glad you have brought these points. There are so many clarifications which come because of your questions. Well done, Vijay. I appreciate your question, and the dialogue we have had so far in this session on your remarks has been very good, very deep, and it's good. A lot of intricate points of Vedanta, they come out, when you ask these questions, and we are able to go. Okay, Babu Bhai, are you there? Do you have any questions? Okay, he's not around, I suppose. Anybody else has a question? Jacqueline, yes, tell me, you were waiting.
Yeah, I know. No, I just want to say the incident that I had the other day, I attribute it, it just came to my mind. I attribute it to life supposed to be like that,
Yes.
Supposed to be like that. Everything is on the dot, on the dot, on the dot, on the dot. And just like the what do you call it? The mantra that you chant, complete that one. That we are complete, you know.
Yeah, Purnamada, Purnamidam. Yeah.
So to me, it just came into my mind. But because we are human beings, we always thought that there is something, you know. But if it is going to the flow, life supposed to be the incident that I encounter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. You know.
Yeah, you're right. You see, there are two levels in which we are experiencing. One is the pure level in which I alone am. The second, that is what is called as a higher state. There is another state which is the Vyavaharika state, which is what you are talking about. In the Vyavaharika state, there is no there is no one single cause why we experience something on a specific day. There is no single cause. There are several causes which are the result of our experiences. You cannot point to one because this is the common world in which we have experiences. So your prarabdha, somebody else's prarabdha, they're all coming together and giving us the experiences.
Yeah, yes, very good that you stated two distinction. To me, as a human being, I'm the second distinction, second portion.
Correct.
But as a higher self, I think the encounter supposed to be that.
Yes.
Am I right?
No, encounter is a part of that. It is superimposed on that. That is that baker and dreamer. You know, when I give you the example of baker, dreamer, and Atma and baker, you should try to imagine there is a higher self, like that baker is for the dreamer. There is an Atma for the baker.
Okay. What I want to say is, life supposed to be at the higher self. When things happen in the flow, everything is there waiting for you. I supposed to be, I mean, at the higher self, I supposed to be in that manner, which I attributed that the encounter that I have, it just happened, but it's so beautiful. That's what I want to say. And that beautiful encounter supposed to be the higher self. But I don't know. I hope I will every time get the kind of encounter. That is my higher self, right?
Correct. Now you got it.
Okay, got it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else has any other question? Okay, if there are no questions, we'll stop today and we'll continue next Saturday with the verses. And thank you and good night.